Hello? Hello?
Hello? Testing. Testing 1, 2.
Hello?
Hello? Testing. Testing 1, 2.
Hello?
Hello? Testing. Testing
Hello?
1, 2.
Hello?
Hello? Testing. Testing
Hello?
1, 2.
Hello?
Testing. Hello? 1, 2. Testing. Testing
Hello?
1, 2.
Hello?
Testing. Hello? 1, 2. Testing. Testing
Hello?
1, 2. Testing. Test.
Hello? Hello?
Let's see if this works now.
Hello?
Let's see if this works now.
Hello? Okay, that should be better. Hello? Okay, that should be better. Hello?
Okay, cool. Figure that out. I can get my game. Finally.
Okay, well, let's see how good this makes my mic now. Should work. Quite well, actually. Should work. Quite well, actually. Testing 321, 321, testing. Testing the new mic. Should work. Quite well, actually. Testing 321, 321, testing. Testing the new mic. Should work.
Just keep it as is. We got a backpack. If it sells anything. The backpack, something. Oh. We'll start the stream. Where's the fucking salad? Now that I want it. This is gone. Shit, man. No one saw like a good backpack. Let's get a backpack. Easiest kid I've ever used in my life, but you know, might as well, am I right? So let's try something. Let's try something. Yes. Oh yeah. Mm, some.
Alaska is known as one of America's final frontiers, and the Alaska Triangle represents one of the world's most statistically verified mystery zones, with over 20,000 people reported to have vanished since the 1970s. And that is a rate of over double the national average for the United States of America. This anomalous zone is so large that it encompasses nearly 1/3 of Alaska's landmass, and of Alaska's over 600,000 square miles, 200,000 to 250,000 square miles fall within the boundaries of the Alaska Triangle. That is an area nearly the size of Texas, and it's home to some of the greatest mysteries in one of Earth's most unforgiving environments. And part of what makes this Alaskan mystery so interesting is that, unlike the Bermuda Triangle, where lore and legend circulate rumors and myths rather than genuine factoids, the Alaskan Triangle has documented statistical anomalies that defy explanation, even for the largest brain chuds. On this channel, we talk about all sorts of things: places you shouldn't go, conspiracies, current events. Nothing is off the menu. And in the past, we've covered the mysteries of Antarctica, but we've mistakenly ignored the mysteries right under our nose that absolutely deserve the same level of coverage. These are the terrifying mysteries of Alaska. One of the most haunting figures is that 4 out of every 1,000 Alaskan citizens disappear annually, which is more than double the national average. I probably have met 1,000 people in my life. I almost have 1,000 friends on Facebook. Maybe I don't. Maybe I have 400 and something. I was homeschooled, okay? 4 of them are gonna go missing in Alaska? Are you shitting me, dude? That's like my 1986 health book that I had when I was homeschooled that said 1 in 5 people have AIDS, which I don't think that's true. Because I know a lot more than 5 people, and I don't know anybody with AIDS. I know a cat with FIV. The region also experiences magnetic declination variations of up to 30 degrees. If you don't know what that is, welcome club. Which makes it very difficult to navigate. And electronic equipment routinely fails in specific areas, even causing experienced pilots with 10,000 plus flight hours to vanish without distress calls. The borders of this mysterious region fall within the straight lines you'd run on a map from Juneau, Alaska to Anchorage, Alaska, and finally to Utqiagvik, which is the northernmost city in the United States of America, and a very cool word. Within the triangle, some facet of nearly every Alaska-based mystery can be found. There are cryptid sightings and legends scattered throughout the region. UFO sightings astound military officers and are even captured on radar, and countless aviation disappearances plague the Alaskan skies, including U.S. representatives investigating the assassination of JFK. I like to call this the CIA zone because I'm heavily implying the CIA killed JFK. The rate of accidents in Alaska is also disproportionate to the rest of America, and the increased accident rates have been used by U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan as a talking point in his push for Alaska to accept the Big Beautiful Bill and upgrade their aviation safety. You can see this on page 10 of the Big Beautiful Bill. The region also overlaps with reported energy vortexes and ley line intersections, which are documented worldwide and can cause time distortions as well as visual and auditory hallucinations, according to some people charging amethysts in their back pockets right now watching this video. By the way, I'm speaking to you. press the like button. Indigenous folklore and warnings about specific areas line up with electromagnetic anomaly maps, as well as theories ranging from natural phenomena to interdimensional portals. Guys, this is real. But it's important to ask the question, does fact fuel fiction, or does myth manifest mystery? New Oopaville quote: all around the world there are legends of animals, creatures, beasts, and monsters that are believed to hide from humanity in the depths of vast forests, or among the slopes of towering mountain ranges, or anywhere that they can carve out a secluded nook to call their own. Take the Bigfoot and Sasquatch, for example. Interdimensional time travelers. These big hairy sumbitches are rumored to hide from mankind, roaming the Pacific Northwest, keeping to themselves. The Mothman is associated with Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and is said to have appeared only to offer disaster prophecies. You can check out our Mothman video on that if you would like, or not. Or take the cannibalistic Wendigo hunting grounds in the original Algonquin territories that prey on hikers who get lost in the wilds. The Alaska Triangle is no stranger to such legends and rumors. A whistling cryptid of their own stalks the coasts and forests of this beautiful area. The Kushtaka, or Land Otter Man, represents Alaska's most documented and disturbing indigenous legend, with consistent accounts across the Tlingit, Tsimshian, and Dena'ina peoples describing shape-shifting beings that lure victims to transformation or to death. The Tlingit people have lived on in the Alaskan Canadian coast for over 10,000 years, their diet consisting primarily of fish, with exclusive fishing areas playing a crucial role in their survival, with their waters teeming with food, but also being willing to eat berries and whatever animals that they could responsibly hunt. Relationships with the Tlingit people varied in friendliness, with trade between groups being common to exchange valuable goods for resources that were normally inaccessible to them, and the Tlingit would trade dried fish and otter fur for caribou skin and copper, amongst other things not found on the coast. And while occasional conflict would bubble up with their neighbors, resulting from territorial disputes and infringement on their fishing grounds, beyond the rivalries they found within their own species, another predator would prey on the Tlingit people. It was a predator that was both spiritual and supernatural to them. And to the Tlingit people, reincarnation is a part of their circle of life, as they are also matrilineal, and they establish their place in society based on the status of their mother and her brothers. So if during your life in the Tlingit you are satisfied with your place in the hierarchy, then upon rebirth, it's important to you that you be reborn into the same female line. And the Kushtaka, according to legend, breaks the line by trapping your soul. And like we mentioned, the Tlingit would trade otter furs, meaning otters needed to be hunted and they were a constant part of their society. And Kushtaka/Ottermen are shapeshifters that would disguise themselves as otters, turning the Tlingit hunters into the hunted. So the Kushtaka might lure you with the sounds of women or children in distress, such as screaming, crying, or moaning, which can lead you to something like
You guys can't see shit. Neither can I. Fucking drop the scab. I knew. Fucking knew I heard someone, man. Holy shit. Oh, heat. Oh, heat. Oh. Stops. Easy. Easy tier 6 plates. This is my shot. No, it is not. Next shot is up the road. My apologies, you guys cannot see a thing I'm doing right now. I didn't mean to load into a night raid. My apologies. Holy shit, that was making me skip out. Yo. I hate nighttime raids. I hate them. Yes. Pretty nice raid though. Got a free AK out of that. And a quest completed as well.
Or like an otter. Legend also suggests a hybrid form with a humanoid body topped by an otter's head and whisker, with the hybrid having bare fangs and long claws that could tear you to pieces. And they may even turn you into a Kushtaka yourself, which is a transformation that the soul cannot survive, which will then prevent reincarnation, which is an essential spiritual aspect of the Clinket's views on the soul and the afterlife. Clink it, bud. Come on now. The Kushtaka are a cryptid species that legend portrays as having two sides. They can be sinister and predatory, a trickster of sorts, but the other side of the coin paradoxically seems to be almost benevolent. If a Kushtaka finds someone lost and freezing, it may save them by transforming them into a Kushtaka so that they may survive in the harsh elements, though at the cost of their ability to reincarnate. It's a very interesting tidbit of lore, and I had never heard of the Kushtaka this cryptid until researching for this Alaska video. A city borough called Sitka, which is located on the same archipelago as Juneau, has a similar story to the Kushtaka. It has another Tlingit myth collected in 1904 about a family whose lost son returned to them, but in an unexpected
Too easy. Let's just buy. Let's complete this task first. My headphones from. There's no way I'm running that shit again, Dev. Oh my days. Friends, please sell me helmet. I'm begging you, man. Please sell me helmet. Not what if I suck in that little fence. Come on, man. Someone's gotta try and get rid of something, you know? Good. It's gonna run the fucking Untar at this point. I'm gonna run like a fucking blueberry. Use, why not? Shit. I don't see why not. Come on. Try that again. We gotta try that. Right.
Way. According to the story, during a great famine at Sitka, people turned to halibut fishing. Halibut, if you don't know, are these massive, legendary fish that are incredibly interesting. They're like a giant flounder. A man and his wife moved to Redoubt Bay and built a house, but couldn't catch more than 2 halibut per week, resorting to eating shellfish, which they found at low tide. So they were struggling. But one day the husband heard a noise as though someone were being thrown down, and outside on the ground lay 2 medium-sized devilfish, which is a common name for a giant devil ray. They look like this. So it seemed like an offering, and whoever had brought them the devilfish was very kind. They would use them as bait for fishing. The husband didn't know who it was, but the wife claimed it must have been her son, who had drowned the year before. And the mother believed the son had done it, taking pity on them, seeing how poor that they were. The 2 devilfish caught 2 halibut, which accomplished a whole month's worth of fishing in just one morning. And then that night, while cooking the fish, the wife heard a whistle and called out, "We have longed for you, my dear son. Come in. Don't whistle around us. We have been wishing for you the last year, so do not be afraid. It is only your father and I. Come in." And suddenly, someone was seated opposite the husband and wife, face covered by their hands. And while the person would breathe, a whistling sound could be heard. And when the father asked, "Is it you, my son?" the Kushtaka said, "Yes." It's giving me goosebumps. Just gonna be real with you guys. And outside, more devilfish awaited the couple. So their lost son had returned to take care of them in a different form. And the next morning, while it was still dark, the son and father went fishing, and the son, now a Kushtaka, used his great strength to propel their canoe out to the halibut ground. And the son, not wanting to be observed by his father, told him to cover himself with a blanket, though the blanket had a hole, and through the hole, the father saw his son leap into the water without moving the canoe to hook halibut on the lines. And the son even speared a seal to add to the pile of meat before leaving his father to run deep into the woods. Then, after repeated visits during which the father and son would fish, the son eventually let his parents see him plainly. He had a round mouth and long hair down to his butt, and he only ate raw fish. He had gone beast mode. As a result of these encounters from the friendly Kushtaka, the family had grown a stockpile of fish and could even travel to Sitka. The son even helped them load the canoe and helped them paddle, but as they
This again. In nighttime this time. And as a scav. With a pistol. Don't know what exactly we're gonna accomplish here, but yeah, I am pretty much just looking for a car battery and motor and stuff like that, so I don't need much. I don't even know this thing, you know. Gonna run my normal junk route up here. So Partisan isn't there. Well, if he is, he's probably dead by now. Oi. Beat the headphones. Mind if I do? Wink. Oh, hand roll, huge. Don't know if I need smart drones, to be honest. Stuff. It's killed me from nothing. Motherfucker. Alright. I don't know, is that good? Probably, I don't know. Roller. That's good. Don't need that much. Measure tape like that. I need that so bad. Hello, Mr. Staff. Hey, 3 viewers. Let's go, guys. Oh, goodness. 100+1. Stimmt doch. Ui, huge. start for now. Need this machine tape so bad. 40,000 rubles. That's much for me that. I don't know why all of this is wish listed, but I guess I'll take it. No? But yeah, I need it, I guess. Extracts. 5,000 word. Oh, for fuck's sake, I have to run across the whole map. Take it there. No big a deal. Let's start making our way with the extract. Interesting. Got a pretty nice VPO. Admin basement, but I don't know where that is. I'm pretty sure I paused it, but I don't know where that is. The lighthouse as well. The lighthouse is more up north. So I should make it. No, I will make it definitely. Heat. Diary is also pretty good. Nah.
No.
Oh, fuck. Oh. Didn't think it was that high. Almost there. Almost there. Nice. Easy. Successful scav run, if you ask me.
They got close.
Oh, yeah. Just gonna have to take everything out of here. Salvaya that. Ja, doesn't even matter.
Заебись, удачно зашли.
Bull I'm gonna see. Go full blueberry at this point. Let's get tied out. Generator. Yes. Okay. Shit. So I need Alta Circle. Oh fuck. So vents. Need CPU fans. I need car batteries and I need one more motor. Okay. Alright. Well, gotta look for those. Might as well. Huge gap on the next one. We'll make it early morning. Actually, I need to check my switch this.
He vanished, and when they arrived at Sitka, they told the story of what had happened. So that's the end of the story, but we tried to verify some of the details to see if it, held more water than it just being a classic cryptid legend. We really only have a few concrete details. For example, a great famine, the location in Sitka, and the location in Redoubt Bay. This gets very interesting, by the way. Sitka's origins go all the way back to 1799 when it was formed as a Russian trading post. The region was settled prior to that by the Tlingit people, but the first European settlement occurred in 1799. Russian fur companies had been invading the Aleutian Islands since the 1740s, gradually expanding their presence along the coast. They had even enslaved the native people, making them hunt and sow to feed and outfit their companies, resulting in overwork and starvation and just general exploitation of the natives. We can further narrow down the time frame within which this Kushtaka story may have occurred using the name Redoubt Bay. Redoubt Bay was named by Captain Tevenkov of the Imperial Russian Navy in 1852. So we have that information, and then we find that Sitka's city government failed in 1870 when funds ran out, which led to poverty in the last remaining of the original 5 Alaskan posts. And during the 1870s, the Tlingit people weren't starving, but the Russians were. The army gave rations to nearly half of the Russians in Sitka to prevent starvation. So if the family was
Hey.
Russian, then it may have been during this period in the 1870s.
All right, Gavin. No problem, man.
Sitka was around, those
Good to see you again.
And Redoubt Bay had been named, and people were absolutely objectively starved. So this could be when this story of a family supposedly drowned son returning to them as a Kushtaka took place. You may think that this happened a long time ago, but stories about Kushtaka predate even that. We even have a catastrophe involving a Kushtaka that occurred a century before, in 1750. And Thomas Bay, named after Navy Commander Charles Mitchell Thomas, is called Devil's Country by locals. It also became known as the Bay of Death after a 1750 landslide killed 500 plus Tlingit villagers. Some tellings of that story even claim that no bodies were ever recovered because they were turned into Kushtaka. And this Thomas Bay story is also mysterious, and what makes it mysterious is that in 1900, a prospector named Harry Culp documented an encounter at Thomas Bay with creatures that were neither man nor monkey, yet looked like both. And describing them further, he said, they were entirely sexless, with their bodies covered with long, coarse hair, except where scabs and running sores had replaced it. Which is horrifying. He called them devils, but were they Kushtaka? The story was called The Strangest Story Ever Told, but Harry didn't write this for fame or fortune. In fact, he never even lived to see it published. His daughter, Virginia, discovered the manuscript years after her father's death and had it published. And while the Kushtaka stands as Alaska's most enduring cryptid legend, woven into the stories of the native people there for centuries, it ultimately represents just one thread in a vast tapestry of mysteries in this Alaskan triangle. So yes, the Kushtaka are tied to vanishings in folklore, but still, when we take a step back and look at the staggering numbers of thousands of disappearances across some of the most unforgiving terrain in North America, the Kushtaka can't possibly be held accountable for all that. Alright, that's too many people gone. Even more telling, the legend does nothing to explain one of the Alaskan Triangle's most chilling mysteries, the sheer number of aircraft that have disappeared without a trace. Kushtaka may hunt the coast and forest, but they can't fly. At least I don't think they can. 75 years ago, on January 26, 1950, a Douglas C-54 Skymaster took to the skies carrying 44 people, and it was never seen again. It's one of the most significant single-incident military losses in Alaska's history and exemplifies a pattern of similar aviation mysteries in the area. The aircraft, with registration number 4272469, was owned by the U.S. Marine Corps and piloted by First Lieutenant Kyle E. McMichael. It disappeared during what should have been a standard flight along the flight path established during World War II, known as the Amber Airway No. 2 over Canada. You can see a map of this here. Obviously, there's plenty of flights during this time. Everybody knows the fastest way to reach Europe is through Canada. Aboard the C-54 Skymaster was its crew of 8, and then 34 U.S. servicemen and 2 civilians, the pregnant Joyce Esp and her infant son, Victor. Joyce and Victor were the family of U.S. Air Force Master Sergeant Robert S. Once again, this flight should have been a routine flight. It was 8 hours and 30 minutes in the air at an altitude between 10 and 11,000 feet. Should have been an easy journey for a plane with fuel for over 13 hours. And the plane departed from Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage, Alaska to Malmstrom Air Force Base in Great Falls, Montana. That was its destination. But engine problems during its initial attempt to take off forced it to remain at Elmendorf for the duration of repairs. And when those were finished, it seemed as though all should have been fine, but for some reason, it obviously was not, because we're talking about it a long time later on the YouTube channel. It's not a laughing matter. It's very sad. The last report from the aircraft indicated that things were going quite well. It was flying around 10,000 feet over Snag, Yukon, and that is when the plane completely vanished. Then came Operation Mike, and this was the name given to the joint U.S.-Canadian search for the missing aircraft, which became one of the most extensive joint searches covering 165,000 square miles. In the day immediately after the disappearance, it was believed that the plane could have crashed near Watson Lake, Canada, which is here compared to the Yukon area, and report after report sharing the results of various searches, they all came back negative. Message 137 concludes, missing C-54 number 2469 search results for past 24 hours nil. Weather improving in Whitehorse area, search continuing. Message 145 concludes, negative results from search missions for missing C-54 number 2469, search continuing. Message 9 concludes, results of search mission for missing C-54 number 2469 negative, search continuing. Message 17, results of search missions for missing C-54 number 2469 negative, search continuing. They repeat over and over and over again without any success. They all begin and end with the exact same thing. Results negative, search continuing. No trace had been found, and it was presumed that the aircraft was down somewhere in the area that they had searched, but simply wasn't visible due to the impossibility of 100% visual coverage with terrain and fauna looking like this. It is a beautiful, unforgiving area. There were a couple of possibilities suggested within the realm of reason. It is possible to pass over an aircraft in mountainous and coniferous country many times without ever sighting a crash. Even when the location of a crash is known, it's possible to just not see the fucking thing. It's also possible that the crashed aircraft was buried in deep snow. The search was extensive and ongoing for quite some time before it began to scale back. And one particularly alarming event led to the search for the Douglas C-54 Skymaster 4272-469 being reduced until it was eventually called off entirely. On February 13th, only 2.5 weeks after the disappearance of the 44 people aboard the missing C-54, another plane would go down in the same region. The main difference between the first plane and the second plane is that the second plane was carrying a nuclear bomb. What really blows my
Hey,
mind is how
Lily
many
Leo.
times this has happened, where
Good
a
on you, man.
military aircraft just
Good on you.
crashes and there is a nuclear bomb on board. Where in North Carolina, they dropped one, dude. I mean, how? How is that a thing that's ever happened, ever, once, a single time in history?
Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Oh, you mean the plane carrying the nuclear world-ending bomb? Okay, that sounds good.
I am just...
SIG? Get it? Because you probably don't. A lot of you probably don't get it, and it's not even a good joke. The people who do, who are in the know, probably don't even get that either. But, anyways, in the United States during the 1950s, the beginning of the Cold War, the U.S. was looking to refine its capabilities to deliver nuclear weapons around the world with intercontinental bombs.
How's my stream going? It's going pretty well, I'd say. Been going pretty well. Just watching some shit. Just watching some YouTube and oh, excuse me. Watching some YouTube and playing some Escape from Tarkov. We're just loading into a match right now. That is why there is nothing on the screen. Because I am just watching. Oh, just waiting for the game. Where are you from? I'm from South Africa. How about you?
For example, the Enola Gray B-29 Superfortress that dropped the Little Boy atomic bomb in Hiroshima took off from Tinian Island, which is located approximately 1,500 miles southeast of Japan, and it made a round trip of 3,000 miles. So, it seems like a long distance, but in reality, that's very close. That's a drive from Texas to Virginia.
Oh, you're from the US. Nice, nice.
About 300 times in my lifetime. 1,500 miles is not that far, especially during wartime with two, advanced, far-reaching countries. Even though this isn't even that far, the plane still had to be overloaded with fuel, and the overloading of fuel made takeoff crashes.
Very common misconception. We do have Caucasians in Africa.
That was supposed to change things. This big motherfucker had a range of 10,000 miles and could carry 86,000 pounds of bombs, both conventional and nuclear. Naturally, wanting to know that this would be viable, a test run was inevitable. And on February 13th, 1950, Flight 2075 took off from Eielson Air Force Base near Fairbanks, Alaska, with a Mark IV atomic bomb in tow. And by the way, even though it's an atomic bomb, it's still a nuclear bomb. Single guy in my comments who always comments on my videos whenever I talk about atomic bombs and mistakenly call an atomic bomb a nuclear bomb. They're both nuclear. The hydrogen bomb, the atomic bomb, they're all nuclear weaponry. One uses fusion, the hydrogen bomb. One uses fission, the atomic bomb. Earlier. So, little man, stop bothering me. I read a lot of my comments, and I don't always comment, but I do. I'm a real person, and I do massively appreciate the feedback that I get on a lot of videos. And that one guy, I might make a whole video about him. Cancel him. Anyways, this Mark IV bomb, not to be confused with Master Chief's Mjolnir Mark IV armor, was modeled after the Mark III, which is the same model as the Fat Man, which is the atomic bomb using fission that was dropped on Nagasaki. But luckily, the bomb in this test didn't have a plutonium core, but it was still 11,000 pounds and contained explosives as well as
Alright, yeah, thanks.
a lot of uranium.
Whoa, appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
500 pounds of it. That was much as
Appreciate that a lot.
that my wife bought. She bought this plate thinking it was this nice, fun little plate, and she doesn't think that I know that it has uranium in it. I think she's trying to kill me. I think she's trying to slowly kill me over time, but I'm not sure. I can't prove it. I'm like that guy from Dexter. Me watching my wife do acts of kindness for me. Thinking she's actually gonna kill me because my mom was mean to me as a child and stuff. Peacemaker flight. Flight 2075 had a 5,500-mile, 24-hour route from Alaska to Montana and from Montana to its target in San Francisco for landing at Carswell.
Alright, man. Well, if you check in the description of my channel, there's a suggestion box if you wanna leave it in there.
On a major city in the Soviet Union, such as Gabarlovsk, which nearly perfectly falls within a 5,500-mile radius. This city was significant for holding the
Some dope stuff, like what? What do you mean?
In 1949, where the Japanese Kwangtung Army was tried for biological weapons use and testing conducted by Unit 731. By the way, made a video about Unit 731. You're going to want to check that out. Takeoff for Flight 2075 began uneventfully enough as Captain Harold Leslie Berry initiated the climb to 40,000 feet with his 16 other crew members. However, 7 hours into the flight, things went wrong. Ice had been accumulating on the bomber's propellers and fuselage, putting the engines under increased strain from the added weight, and the three large radial piston engines on the left wing would lose power, with two even catching fire. So with essentially only the engines on the right wing.
I do want to put overlays, but I don't know. I kind of like the
It got worse when one of
the
right
basic,
wing
you know,
engines
just
also caught fire.
chat box and
Terrible.
you
The
know,
crew had to abandon the
like
plane.
when I'm in game, it just looks like this. So
11,000-pound
you
nuclear
know,
bomb
might
on
actually move
board.
this.
So that complicated things a slight amount. Before simply stating what happened,
But
remember that this is also about
might just
the
move it
missing
like that.
C-54 Skymaster. This happened in the same time. The morning of February 14th, and the logs for the
No,
accident
man. If
reports
you
from the C-54
sorry, but if you're trying to
Skymaster
sell me anything, I'm
involved in the C-54 search
not
were
interested,
put on standby
unfortunately.
to search for
But
the
thank you for the
B-36,
offer.
which
I
was
appreciate it.
believed to have gone missing over Canada's west coast overnight. The hunt for the B-36 was given the operative name Operation Baker. And Operation Baker was much more successful than Operation Mike because with Baker, it
No,
discovered
I'm good, thank you.
16th, 3 days after the B-36 had gone missing. And reports from those crews stated that the Mark IV had been detonated safely before bailing out of the plane, which had been set to autopilot and crashed on Mount Kologat. And the 5 remaining missing crewmen were presumed to have landed in the frigid waters where they soon succumbed to nature. So
Alright,
one might
YouTube.
think that if they managed to recover all surviving crew of the B-36 by the 16th, then they could pivot it back to the missing 44 folks on board the Skymaster and all the family members and servicemen and all this stuff. Right? Wrong! On February 16th, 1950, another plane would go down. This one was a Royal Canadian Air Force Douglas Dakota III registered as 664. There were no fatalities in this crash, with the only injury being a sprained ankle, but still, resources from Operation Mike were being utilized to evacuate personnel on board the RCAF Dakota 664. Then the next day, on February 17th, 1950, the signal had been received to cut down on Operation Mike, with only a small force being left in place to chase down rumors and reports of this mysteriously missing plane. Some of the rumors and reports that they left a team in place to hunt down were incredibly far-fetched. Take, for example, a few weeks before, on February 2nd, 1950, an unsigned report intended for Air Force personnel told search and rescuers to search near Great Bear Lake at a river junction where some of the crew sheltered in the body of the plane, though provisions were running short. You see, on February 3rd, 1950, a French-Canadian prospector visited the HQ for the search. He claimed to have extra-sensitive powers and was receiving shockwaves from metal objects from the missing C-54 and pointed out a crash location near Watson Lake on a map. And even those who spoke with the prospector thought it was far-fetched, but were convinced by his sincerity and devout charisma. A telegram from Mrs. Raymond Mangold of Norfolk, Arkansas, dated February 4th, 1950, instructs the Air Force Search and Rescue Team to search Dark Horse Canyon for the missing C-54, saying she saw it in a dream, but please look. On February 5th, someone who heard about the lady who dreamed about the crash location on the radio wrote a letter claiming that after a night of no sleep at 3 a.m., they received what they believed to be a telepathic message saying, "Look for the plane in bush near Revelstoke, British Columbia. Don't know how long food will last. Feet frozen." Reports and rumors were coming through basically daily, and these were the kinds of rumors and reports that a skeleton crew was left behind to investigate, and nothing was ever found. I mean, it's unbelievable. We compiled some of the divine locations where the crash could be located on a map to make it easy to visualize. Green represents Whitehorse, the capital of Yukon, where the search was based, and blue is a rough approximation of where those crash site reports claim to be. And all three flights we mentioned going missing, the C-54 Skyhawk, the B-36 Peacemaker, and the RCAF Douglas Dakota 3 were all military flights that went missing over the course of about 3 weeks in the same area, which is crazy. Yet another military contracted plane went missing on June 3rd, 1963, just a decade later. This time, a Douglas DC-7C carrying over 100 people, 95 passengers, and 6 crew members seemingly disappeared. It was called Flight 293, and it departed from McChord Air Force Base in Washington State, and it was headed to Elmendorf Air Force Base, the same AFB that the Skymaster had departed from before vanishing. On board were military personnel, their dependents, DoD employees, and a Red Cross employee. And just over 2.5 hours into their flight, contact was lost with Flight 293, with no difficulties reported by the crew at any point before the loss of contact over the Gulf of Alaska. Answers would be both easy to find and evasive, paradoxically. According to the aircraft accident report, the RCAF soon found wreckage and even recovered 1,500 pounds that floated. However, when the gross weight at takeoff was recorded at over 123,000 pounds, including 23,000 pounds of jet fuel, that's just over 1% recovered if you remove the fuel weight. Not a single body was ever recovered from this crash. So how did this flight go down? The analysis of the crash and the accident report was unable to come to any probable reason it could have happened. Nothing indicated potential complications ahead of time. There was nothing glaring, nothing obvious. The aircraft was airworthy. The crew were qualified, certified, briefed, and prepared. Pre-flight activities were satisfactory in all regards. All required actions were performed, and the aircraft was properly equipped and fell within its normal limits of everything that should have been fine, and the flight began normally without an incident. It was speculated that whatever happened so quickly that there was no time to prepare for a water landing, as adult life vests were recovered still encased in their plastic containers. So that's fucking crazy. But aviation disappearances associated with the phenomenon of the Alaskan Triangle don't stop being crazy there. One disappearance that could have massive implications on modern conspiracy theories began in the Alaskan Triangle back in 1972. On the morning of October 16, 1972, House Majority Leader Hale Boggs and Alaska Congressman Nick Begich Sr. boarded a twin-engine Cessna 310 in Anchorage for what should have been a routine 3.5-hour flight to Juneau. This disappearance left behind a terrifying mystery riddled with contradictions, confessions of murder, and connections to the JFK assassination conspiracies that persist over 50 years later. So Thomas Hale Boggs Sr. wasn't just any congressman when he disappeared. He was the House Majority Leader and the leading contender to become Speaker of the House. Here's a visual for you visual learners to understand what exactly this means. Kind of an important guy, to be honest. Having served Louisiana's 2nd District for 14 non-consecutive terms since 1941, Boggs wielded enormous influence in shaping American policy. But it was his role on the Warren Commission's investigating JFK's assassination that would haunt him until his final flight. Boggs was the youngest member of the Warren Commission at only 49 years of age, compared to Earl Warren, its most senior member, who was 72. Boggs was appointed on November 29, 1963, just days after JFK's death. And the Warren Commission, if you don't know, to say the least, was highly controversial in the adoption and endorsement of the lone gunman
Понял? Ты чё там, бля, вообще, шупы?
I don't know where the fuck I'm getting shot from.
Вот он! Хера себе! Пацан готов! Вот!
Well, shit. It's pumping, dude.
Вон он, сука!
Madness.
You can move the ship.
Вот хуйло! Конец тебе! Вон он, блядь, ебать его! Куда он проебался? Не видишь? Ой, да ну нафиг! Бросься!
Oh, shit. Huge. Man, I do not space. Do I have space for the money though? Oh my fuck! I need to sell some shit. I need to sell some shit. Can it go sell? More manners. I'm never gonna use in my life. fucking long is the shotgun? Holy fuck. No, you. What about a shotgun? Shit. There you go. Alright, well, so repair that. No, purple, please. Thank you. Oh, badass. Sick. Oh, you guys can't see. Oh, I need 11,000 to level up. Fuck. The NTI, man. Toss shotgun. MP133 12 gauge shotgun. No, I don't have any of that. Thanks. I do have M855 though. Aha. Yes. Right. Might do one more raid. Just real quick. And then I might get off. You know what I might do? Just throw this scab onto shoreline. Try and get some raid dudes over there. Damn man. Let's see what this guy gives me. I say 58 heat. So honestly, goated loadout, so never know. You know? If you know, you know. You know, you know.
All three shots left many unhappy both then and especially now. The commission failed
I was gonna go make some food. Chat, I'll be right back.
Fundamental circumstances of the assassination, but this video is not about that. Okay, guys, we won't get into that here, but supposedly, while Boggs had publicly signed the report in 1964, alleged private accounts revealed conflicting beliefs. His son, Thomas Hale Boggs Jr., later revealed that the FBI showed his father dossiers compared to discredited Warren Commission critics, including photographs of sexual activity and reports on alleged communist affiliations. So essentially, if you didn't like the lone gunman theory, then here's porn of you. Pretty much. Gay porn of you. According to an aide, Boggs repeatedly returned to one conclusion. He said, "Who will lie his eyes out to the commission? On Oswald, on Ruby, on their friends, the bullets, the gun, you name it. That man like I had more to it now. Come on." I imagine he had an old country boy accent like that. But this experience culminated in Boggs' explosive April 5th, 1971 House floor speech where he accused the FBI of violating the Bill of Rights, breaking the laws it was sworn to uphold, phone-tapping members of Congress, and he even demanded J. Edgar Hoover's resignation for his involvement in all this. This guy was kind of an American hero, TBH. He essentially called the FBI America's version of the Nazi Gestapo in Germany, saying that they adopted their tactics and the tactics of the Soviet Union. The next day, President Nixon told Gerald Ford that he could no longer take counsel from Boggs as a single member of Congress. Ford speculated that Boggs was on pills as well as alcohol, while Deputy Attorney General Richard Kleindienst attacked his drinking problem and emotional instability, and also called him a libtard. which was a weird thing to say back then. Even more troubling was an incident on July 23rd, 1970, when Boggs was run off the road in D.C. by an unknown driver in a Lincoln Continental, aka a land boat. Boggs took down the license plate number, but D.C. Metropolitan Police later claimed they could not locate any relevant records of the incident. Strange. So all that is extremely suspicious. Now on to Nick Begich Sr., just 40 years old and the other missing man aboard the Cessna that we're talking about currently right now. This fellow represented Alaska's future, as divisive as it may have been. As the state's sole U.S. representative, he had been instrumental in passing the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act in 1971, which settled native land claims and enabled construction of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, which I don't know if that's epic or bad. I didn't research it as much as I should have, I'm sure. The son of Croatian immigrants, Begich was running for re-election against Republican Don Young in what was expected to be a tight race. Ironically, he would be posthumously elected only to have Young win a special election on March 1973 and hold the seat for the next 50 fucking years. Which partisan side wants term limits? Which partisan side thinks that holding a seat for 50 years is insane? 50? The timing of the October 16, 1972 flight disappearance has some layers of dark irony. Allegedly, just 2 days earlier, pilot Robert Thomas reported that this airplane had a malfunctioning de-icing system, in which he claimed it was sometimes working, sometimes not working. Now, either this critical safety information never reached the pilot of the aircraft, Don Johns, or he chose to ignore that shit. You see, Don Johns had published an article in Flying Magazine titled Ice Without Fear, showcasing his confidence in handling some ice without fear. In IWF, Johns says that icing inspires the crazies and a lot of airmen, but in his opinion, most of it is crock. With over 17,000 flight hours, Johns was no amateur, but he had a reputation for being somewhat anti-authority and potentially overconfident, given his death in an airplane, probably from icing. Plus, he had experienced 2 prior forced landings, including one just 8 months earlier due to oil pressure loss and extreme cold. And at 6:56 a.m., Johns called for a weather briefing that should have canceled the flight. Portage Pass was forecast closed with moderate rime icing predicted from 6,000 to 15,000 feet, and 20 minutes before their departure, a U.S. Air Force helicopter attempting the same route reported moderate to severe turbulence at 500 feet and headwinds of 55 knots and broke into overcast clouds at 200, 300 feet above. This pilot abandoned his flight through Portage Pass, which was the same pass Johns was to take Boggs and Begich through. Despite these warnings, the N1812H departed Anchorage at 8:59 a.m. with 4 souls aboard: Johns, Boggs, Begich, and Russell Brown, which was Begich's 37-year-old aide. And at 9:09 a.m., Johns made his last radio contact, filing an airborne flight plan and confirming affirmative when asked about emergency gear. This was a lie. The plane carried no emergency locator transmitter, despite Alaska law requiring them as of September 6, 1972, just 5 weeks earlier. And the required survival gear, food, axe, firearm, fishing gear, snowshoes, and sleeping bags were also completely absent. This guy didn't plan on crashing, let's be real. And 10 minutes after that final transmission, the aircraft would have been entering Portage Pass, where they were never heard from again. Residents of Whittier, just south of Portage Pass, reported hearing a small plane around the time the N1812H would have been overhead. And what followed was a very important search and rescue operation because of the people who were on board, 2 congressmen. This operation lasted 39 days and covered 325,000 square miles, an area larger than South Carolina. There were over 140 aircraft, including an SR-71 Blackbird spy plane personally ordered by Nixon, dozens of Coast Guard vessels, and hundreds of ground personnel. They flew over 1,000 missions, totaling 3,600 hours of flight, and found nothing. But the search did accidentally locate a plane that had been missing for 17 years, but found no trace of the one they were actually looking for. What's disturbing is that they reported anomalies immediately. Multiple emergency beacon signals were detected, one for 40 minutes near Juneau the day after the disappearance, and another 150 miles northeast of Anchorage in the entirely wrong direction. Yet, the plane supposedly carried no ELT, which was transmitting these signals. Ham radio operators in Northern California reported hearing transmissions from survivors in the hours following the disappearance, which the Air Force dismissed as hoaxes, despite the operators' insistence that they had heard genuine distress calls. And an anonymous tipster contacted the Coast Guard claiming to know the exact location of the crash using experimental electronic equipment. Now, that guy sounds full of shit, but the FBI found this source reliable, with an agent noting he appeared rational, extremely intelligent, but somewhat strange. And he looked a little something like this. That was a joke. That was a big bada bing, bada boom joke. That was Dr. Parkenstein, TikToker, who was not alive in 1972. But if he was, he would have been rational, extremely intelligent, and somewhat strange. TBH. How long is this video? On November 24th, 1972, the day after Thanksgiving, the search was officially called off as efforts were redirected to hunt for a twin-engine plane that disappeared while flying the same route, carrying 2 Californians. The official NTSB report claimed the plane lacked de-icing equipment, which supports the theory that icing caused the crash, which that makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know shit about flying little tiny dumb airplanes, but, you know. Also, the whole Warren Commission thing, it seems like maybe they, those guys were better off dead for the incumbent government. But they searched for them so much. They searched all over for them and stuff. The icing remained the accepted explanation for this disappearance for decades until investigative journalist John Walczak, which I don't know how to say that word, John Walczak reported in 2020 that N1812H actually had both de-icing and anti-icing equipment installed. And this revelation, if true, demolishes the weather-related crash theory. Also, if it had been the result of a gradual buildup of icing, wouldn't there have been time to radio that there was trouble potentially, or was John's just extremely confident? I'm not sure. Now, this is where things take a massive turn for the conspiracy and get really freaky. On November 8th, 1994, in Pima County Jail in Tucson, Arizona, convicted murderer Jerry Max Pasley made a stunning confession to 3 investigators. He claimed that in the summer of 1972, he had delivered a locked briefcase containing a bomb to Alaska on behalf of the Bonanno crime family. That's right, the Bonannos. The briefcase was handed to 2 men in Anchorage, and years later he was told it had been used to destroy a congressman's plane. Pasley wasn't just any criminal. He was deeply embedded in organized crime, having followed the Licavoli family from Detroit to Tucson in the 1960s, and he was linked to bombings in the late 60s, though he was in prison for gunning a man down in a hotel. The most shocking detail of all this is Pasley married Peggy Begich, Nick's widow, in March of 1974, just 17 months after her husband's disappearance. What? What the dude? According to Pasley, Peggy had met secretly with mob boss Joe Bonanno at Tucson's Kon-Tiki restaurant before her husband's disappearance. Despite Pasley agreeing to take a polygraph test, the FBI immediately shut down the investigation because they're the f***ing Gestapo. So the potential link between the loss of flight N1812H and organized crime and the organized crime connection to the JFK assassination raises some very serious red flags. Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK and Jack Ruby killed Oswald on live TV. Jack Ruby was a nightclub owner. What business did he have killing a presidential assassin? He's a really angry guy. Well, I love America! America! I kill an assassin! I'm just waiting for that same thing to happen now. Now, rumors of Jack Ruby's Organized Crime Association were dismissed by the Warren Commission, having no evidence of a conspiracy after investigating Jack Ruby and his alleged illegal activities with members of the organized underworld. I don't know. Seems like a bunch of damn bullshit to me. Now, remember, Boggs completely disappeared and is now rumored to have organized crime connections through Pasley and Peggy and all this shit. But if we go back to the JFK assassination, Boggs signed the Warren Commission, seemingly endorsing its findings, but there were allegations of pressure, blackmail of Warren Commission critics, and Boggs later stated Hoover lied his eyes out to the commission on Oswald, on Ruby, on their friends, the bullets, the gun, you name it. If you look at it like this, it seems very, very, very fishy. What really happened? I have no idea. Was it a bomb? Did the Alaska Triangle's magnetic distortions drive them off course and they were consumed by a Kushtaka? I have no idea. The Triangle's history of swallowing aircraft whole defies explanation, and people go missing at an alarming rate in this area. The The current rate of 2,250 missing persons per year is more than double the national average. 4 out of every 1,000 Alaskans go missing. This is compared to 6.5 per 100,000 nationally for the United States of America. The USGS College Magnetic Observatory uses instruments 1,000 times more sensitive than handheld compasses and regularly records significant magnetic disturbances in this area. And the magnetic
Alright, well, chat.
migration
Doesn't look like I'm getting on the game, so I think I'm gonna call that a stream. Pause this video. I think I'm gonna call that a stream. Hope you guys enjoyed. It was a 2-hour long stream. Yeah, not the best, but you know, pretty dry stream today, so I apologize for that, guys. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.